You are the CEO of West Africa's largest quick service restaurant chain with over 300 branches, catering to over 15 million West Africans every single year. How does that make you feel?
Busy.
What's the engine that you've built that ensures that that system keeps running?
Every single day, if I'm in the office, I take a walk around the whole business and I greet people. It's not just, hello, sir, hello. No, it's hello, how are you? How's it going? You have to make that time. You're not the one frying the chicken. You're not the one cooking the rice. So what else do you do? You've got to make the strategic management of your people are part and key of the success of the business. The most important part that we have what we call an MD communication days, like a town hall meeting.
How often?
Every quarter. I think the last one I did, I said, no presentation, throw me a question, because we just come through a tough year. It was interesting to make sure that people's salaries were no longer taking them as far as they used to. Business wasn't growing as quickly or hitting the targets that we achieved. We were all under pressure. So everybody was wondering, okay, what are we going to do next? And they're looking to you to give that guideline. But what I do is that I look to them and say, hey, we're going to sort this out together, okay? What do you think we should do? You understand? Because you get more buy-in from people when the idea comes from them.
How is it that when you walk into a Chicken Republic store at Yanakwaja and you walk into a Chicken Republic store, say in Abuja, the tastes are pretty much the same?
So,
Hi, Kofi.
Hi, sure.
You are the CEO of West Africa's largest quick service restaurant chain with over 300 branches, catering to over 15 million West Africans every single year. How does that make you feel?
Busy.
I like to ask that because I really need to know if the individuals behind a whole lot of the successful brands that we see today are aware and sometimes conscious of the weight of the responsibility that they actually face day in, day out.
I think, a lot of people that are behind a lot of successful brands, I think people sometimes don't understand what it takes. The image that is out there is completely different from the image that is within, because we're the ones doing it. It's like a builder, right? So you're building the foundation, you're doing cement, you're seeing all the rough work, debris everywhere. But when somebody comes and sees the finished product, they say, wow, what a beautiful house, right? But nobody saw all the cement everywhere, paint splashed there, the workers with paint on his face and everything else. Nobody saw exactly
the BTS.
Exactly. Everybody just saw the finished product. And that's kind of what it is with QSR as well. Okay. So to build a brand like Chicken Republic, okay, and have it roll out, we're in 26 states at the moment.
How many states?
26. Yeah. So to build a brand like Chicken Republic, you can tell that it takes a lot of time. So we on the inside are too busy moving. And sometimes we keep on telling ourselves that we need to stop, breathe, and appreciate what we've done. But, and it's just like also you set targets for yourself, right? So once you set those targets for yourself and you don't achieve them, somebody might be busy praising you. Look at how much you've achieved. You're thinking...
So you measure your success based on the targets you set for yourself and not what other people can observe and appreciate from the outside.
Exactly.
And so talking about targets, would you say that you're currently crushing all the targets yet?
No.
You said no. I want to know why you said no.
I said no because, like I said, we're on the inside, okay? So we see where we've dropped the ball.
Yeah.
And we see that, damn, if we'd done this better, we could have gotten this, and we haven't gotten here, and we haven't gotten there. So we see exactly where we dropped the ball. And as much as there's lessons for the next time, and the reason why you see the consistency is saying we're learning from our lessons. We're learning from the areas when we failed. If I want to open a shop in June and it opens in July, to me, that's a fail.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a failed on all fronts in terms of timing, in terms of income, in terms of expenses, because I've still got staff that I've recruited that I'm paying for that are not generating any income, and the building assets that I've purchased.
And so efficiency.
So efficiency, okay, is key. If I see every time I get a complaint from a customer about a meal, there's some process or system that is falling short. Okay. And all your mind is doing and all the team does is, how do we keep on improving? How do we keep on improving? How do we keep on improving? And the beauty about Nigeria and Africa is that, whether we like it or not, we've got a Western world that has done it. So I always say to the team, we're not reinventing the wheel here.
There's a template.
There's a template. Okay. We just need to find what suits this market.
Contextualizing that template. And
exactly.
I think it's safe to say that one of the reasons you're so excellent yourself and your team at what you do is that you hold yourselves to very high standards.
Very much so.
And talking about standards, I know you talked about the global markets. You said it's already been done.
Yeah.
I mean, there are already amazing large food chains servicing different countries in continents and also. And speaking of which, your background more or less follows after that same pattern. You had background working with McDonald's, right?
Yeah.
You're McDonald's trained, and then you worked with Nando's.
Yeah.
Talk me through it. What was it like? I only tell me what it was like growing up. Did you always, have you always just been person, I'm going to die in the food industry? Or have you been the guy who just found himself there? What happened?
So I started at McDonald's when I was 16. So I was in college in the UK and I needed money. I needed spending money. I mean, at 16, 17, 18, your friends are going out, you're chilling, you know, you want your own expenses and you're in an environment that enables that, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why I started working at McDonald's. So as I was going through college, university, etc., I was just in McDonald's. And before I knew it, 15 years had passed by. Yeah, I know.
Or the temptations to leave.
I did leave.
And how?
I did leave. But I actually left and went and worked for a publishing company. And it was a publishing company that was publishing the NBA magazine for Europe and Asia. And they were also publishing the PGA magazine, PGA Golf magazine for Europe and Asia as well. So I actually worked with them for about a year. I got tired and went back to McDonald's.
You went back to your first love?
Yeah, yeah.
How did you rise through the ranks, McDonald's? What happened?
So, obviously, I was working part-time. It was...
Yeah, so you were waiting tables?
Yeah. No, I was in the kitchen.
Okay.
I was actually... I'm an early riser.
You never came up to me as Kofi the chef.
Trust me, McDonald's, the systems are so there that you actually can walk in off the street and do it.
I'm getting to that.
Right. So basically, I was in the kitchen. I was actually, because I'm an early riser, I was running a breakfast shift. So I was busy doing 16, 17. Oh yeah. I was in the shop.
I mean, you were responsible for the tummies of thousands of
in that one shop. Yes. So we were busy scrambling eggs, doing sausages and bacon and all your favorite McMuffin and big breakfast. So it was about a year later. I think after, but obviously, like I said, I was working part-time Friday, Saturday, Sunday, were the days I was working. Okay. And as we went on and I finished college, okay, then I, which was basically a year and a half later, I became a shift manager. Okay. And from shift manager, I became an assistant manager. Now, for me, and I'm sure that record has been broken now, but between becoming an assistant manager and a restaurant manager, a branch manager, was 6 months.
Wow.
If not less. I think it was about anywhere between 4 to 6 months.
That was like the fastest rise.
The fastest rise. I mean, I remember when I used to go to the head office, I said, wow, I mean, they hadn't heard. What McDonald's structure is a floor manager, shift manager, a second assistant manager, first assistant manager, then restaurant manager. I went from second assistant to restaurant manager all in a matter of 4 months, 4 to 6 months.
You'd always been a star boy. Permit me to say. Before we get back to the video, I think it's a good time to let you know that you have a role to play, a role to ensure that these riveting conversations reach a whole lot of people. You can start by liking this video and also by subscribing and following and also by turning on post notifications so you'll be the very first person to know when next we drop a mind-shifting video just like this. Now, back to the conversation. So, what happened with your love affair with McDonald's and how did Nando's come into the equation? Did they offer more money? Or was it a bit more exciting?
So, 2 things happened. One, I moved back to Ghana. So I left.
Oh, yeah, so he's Ghanaian.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's not get into the jollof rice. We'll come to that one.
No jollof wars. One of the reasons we won't get into jollof wars, because to be honest, it's hard to know where your allegiance will be, because you have more Chicken Republic branches in Nigeria than in Ghana. So obviously, I think you're part Nigerian. You are part Nigerian. I think the last time I saw you, I think I gave you a Nigerian name. I've forgotten, so I think I'll probably just christen you again, give you a new one. Kofi Abunu.
Thank you. I remember to change my birth certificate.
Please.
So I moved back to Ghana.
Okay.
I actually worked with the hotel in Ghana called La Palma Beach Hotel. So when they first started, so I was one of the first teams that worked with them. And then I got called by Steers, famous brands. Okay, they run Debonair's here at the moment, but they run Steers. They used to be called Steers Holding, and they're a burger brand, and went to work with them. And then I went to work for an Insco. Insco was a Zimbabwe brand, and they run food courts. Now, one of the brands inside the food court was Nando's.
Ooh.
Okay, so they had a bakery, Nando's, another chicken brand, an ice cream brand, and a wrestling area. It was a franchise. Yes, it was a franchise in Ghana. So the franchisee there came to recruit me to come and head the operations there. Okay, and that's how I ended up there.
And how was it?
A great experience. I keep on telling people, if I didn't have that experience before coming to Nigeria, I most probably would have run away from Nigeria. It was
that was like a testing ground.
A good testing ground.
Why was that experience so important? Was it an introduction into chaos?
It was an introduction into not working with set processes and systems and having to create them yourself. Okay, so don't get me wrong, InSco had their systems and processes, but
paled in comparison to what you were already used to and was obtainable in McDonald.
Exactly. That is one. And two, InSco wasn't doing jollof rice and fried rice and so on. In fact, even in Ghana, we were not doing jollof rice at the time. We were only doing fried rice at the time. So because we're doing more of a rice product, it wasn't part of their menu. So you had to develop controls and systems in terms of producing that product. And nobody was there to do it for you. You basically had to use your knowledge and your experience to turn that out.
Wow, that's interesting. Now, in the midst of all of this, a particular Nigerian owned brand had started some way, somehow.
Yeah.
I think it was in the early 2000s, Chicken Republic began.
2004.
Yeah. Early towards mid 2000s.
21 this year, yeah.
It's 21 this year. 21-year-old child is due for marriage.
Yeah.
So you guys are doing good. Yeah. So at what point did the founder look across and go, oh, that guy heading the Nando's somewhere in Ghana, I need him to come help with my operations here in Nigeria? Because you joined Chicken Republic, if I'm not mistaken, in 2007?
2007.
Yeah. And you joined in as what?
I joined in as the general manager for the QSR business. So we had we had the bakery business, Butterfield Bread.
Yeah.
Okay, had that bakery, and then we had the QSR business, which had Chicken Republic and then St. Elmo's Pizza as well. Yeah.
So talk me through. You came on board to be the general manager of that. Now, what was your introduction to Nigeria? And look, was it your first time in Nigeria? Let me be clear.
Yes.
First time in Nigeria. So first time ever in Nigeria, you come to take on a GM position.
Yeah.
How was it? The reason I'm saying this is because, huge respect to Ghana. I love my Ghanaian people. They're like our brothers. I'm telling some again, brothers. They are our brothers, and everything and all. I love them so much. And I feel like doing things in the Ghanaian context is a whole lot different from Nigeria. Yeah. You know Nigeria. You've been here for running the show for 18 years now, and you know exactly how things could be. So what was the root shock you had? What was the initial reaction that you had, like, oh my God, these things are actually different here? And what happened? Talk me through it.
So it wasn't so much as a shock because, funny enough, Ghana and Nigeria are not that different. They're just slower. Okay, because of the market smaller and so on. Okay, so there isn't so many people. In fact, when I was introduced to Chicken Republic and when I met the founder, they came over to Ghana, come and see me. Okay, I'm sure they came for other things as well, but one of the agendas was to also meet with
You were
me as
that
well.
good.
So anyway, so they invited me over just to come and see Nigeria. So I think in 2006, I came over for a few days. I spent 5 days, went around looking at the business, looking at the brand, and I was just excited about what was going on, what they were doing, and the potential. I think more than anything else, I could see the potential that I could see with food concepts in Chicken Republic.
Yeah.
I could not see that in Ghana. And not because Ghana couldn't do it. Ghana's market was just too small to have that kind of potential.
Yeah.
Okay.
So our population was a blessing.
Population was a blessing. The size, the market, the eat out culture, and so on. Ghanaians were at that time used to going to a restaurant, sitting down, and somebody comes and takes their order. Okay. Then we're not, let me go up to the counter, please, and carry my own food to the table, which is what I was used to in the UK. So to come to Nigeria and see that I'd only seen it in South Africa. So to come to Nigeria and see that, I thought, wow, this is great. So, yeah, I mean, for me, I was just excited at the opportunity, and all I could see was opportunity.
Amazing. I want to get right into your context as a leader now. You were GM. What other positions did you have to take while rising the ladder?
So I was GM for QSR, and then I became COO. Then we changed all the structures again, and I became Chief Development Officer. Now, Chief Development Officer came when we got funding.
Okay.
Funding came in, and then it became Kofi. Here's the funds. We need to open shops. So then I became Chief Development Officer, which later on turned into Divisional Managing Director, Business Development.
It's interesting.
Okay, nice titles, but
interesting. Well, yeah, but just with a focus on
but focus on growth.
Yeah.
Okay, focus on understanding the market and everything. So, just from my experience with other brands and other companies, we had what we call a site selection document. Okay. We had a team for a project team, a maintenance team, and a franchise development team that were all reporting to me at that time. So it was good to focus on franchising. It was good to get new stores up. It's good to try and look at the capacity of other shops and new developments that we could do, new ways of baking our pies, new ways of molding our pies, new ways of operating inside the store. So those were all the things that were,
I think, or would you say that all of those responsibilities obviously got you ready for the role that you now occupy? Because in 2022, you were named CEO. Did that come as a surprise?
Yes.
Wow.
Because one beautiful thing about food concepts is that you got a lot of competent people. Okay, so for me, there was other people that were equally
as good,
okay, to take up the role. So it wasn't, and other people that I would be more than happy to support if they'd even got in there.
And so what did that do to you, other than knowing that there was a lot of work to do?
One, motivated me. Okay. It's one of those things where you feel that, okay, I do know something. I don't know. I haven't been talking rubbish all these years. Okay. And excited me. You understand, of, having that in your hands and being entrusted to grow this brand and take it to the next level. Yeah.
That's interesting. Now, one of the first things you had to do as a leader is not necessarily change the way things have been operating, but in some way mold them after your own pattern of leadership. Because the new sheriff is in town. I'm not here to disrupt things. I'm just here to ensure that things go as efficiently as possible and after my own style of leadership. In that vein, what was the hardest decision you immediately had to make being the CEO of Chicken Republic?
I think, once again, the beauty about food concepts is that when you're growing from within, you've basically part of the culture already. Okay, so there's not really that much you need to change. I think the only thing I had to change was understanding that you now have, or let's say, individuals that used to be your peers and now your subordinates. They're your direct reports. Okay, so you have to in some way be able to be firm, but be understanding that they are as competent as yourself, okay, or maybe even more so, to get it's all a matter of trust in them doing their job. So what I found with my leadership, it was that I'm a very involving person. Okay, I'm not a sit in the office person.
Hands-on kind of
I'm
guy.
very, very hands-on.
You're a CEO at heart.
Yeah, very, very much so. Very
An
much.
operations guy at heart.
I'm an operations guy at heart, and I think it's in my blood for sure. So it was always making sure I can give support in terms of what my team needed to get done, making sure that I was there to listen, to understand it, but also finding a way of pushing them to say that we can do more, we can do better, and this is our next level. So I think, for me, I try to be a very inclusive manager, okay? But knowing very well, like they'll teach you in business school and so on, is that at one point or another, you've got to understand that the buck stops with you. And that sometimes you can't be all inclusive. There's got to be a time when you're inclusive and times when you're just direct. This is what I want done. This is when I want it done by. This is how I want it done. And then we all move forward.
So understanding that balance is what has been able to help you lead. Now, I need to get to the juice of it all, because not every time do you get the privilege to sit in front of a man who manages an empire that has got about 300 branches spread across West Africa. And so let's talk about the intricacies of the job that you do. If you were to be up to me, I had a bulkload of questions that you won't even finish answering till tomorrow. But let's unpack it bit after bit.
Right.
First, I want to talk about the sensitivities of managing, first and foremost, a business that has a mass consumerism model. You are catering for about 15 million people to 20 million year in, year out.
Yeah.
What's the engine that you've built that ensures that that system keeps running? Because when we talk structurally, we talk policies, we talk processes, we talk procedures and the likes. And many times it's easy when you look at it theoretically. But coming from someone like you, I want you to walk me through the fine lines, particularly from a financial standpoint also, because when you're catering for so many people, when you're incurring facility costs, when you're paying, the dues of people, remunerations, and so many more things, it many times comes down to the finest of details, particularly with a quick service restaurant like yours that caters to people in the lower middle to middle and maybe upper middle echelon of the socioeconomic strata of society. It gets very tricky, right? There aren't very many margins for financial error. So no more, not so many margins for wastage, not so many margins. You know what I'm talking about. Tell me.
So let me put it this way. Everything starts with planning, right? The engine, as you call it, requires fuel. The fuel is the people in the business. Okay, their knowledge, their experience, their know-how, their training, etc. That fuels that engine and makes that engine move. Okay, so the key thing is getting the right people, the right experience. Now, we've got people in our business. I've had KFC experience, Burger King experience, in the UK, in Nigeria, in Ireland, everywhere. We've got people that have had Nando's experience in South Africa and KFC experience in South Africa as well. So one is getting the right talent and getting the right experience on board. And that's what Food Concepts and that's what previous management had done. Okay, bringing in people like myself from McDonald. Now, once that's done, is then building up your structure and your policies and your systems and getting your SOP right. Okay. Now, like I said, we're not reinventing the wheel here. Okay. Once you've worked in all these other international brands, they're basically giving you the playbook. All right. What you need to do is modify them to suit the market that you're in. And that's the key part, understanding the market that you're in. We've grown over the years. So let me put it how we've grown. When we had plans, when we had a 5-year projection, we also had a 5-year organogram. Okay. So when we started saying that, okay, in in the years when we said, okay, we've got funding, we're going to start developing and expanding our business, we started building that every year. What will our new organogram look like? We've gone from myself being a GM and running the QSR business, having 4 operation managers, to being a head of operations that has regional managers that have operation managers or area managers that report into that regional manager. Okay. From the shops having a restaurant manager and assistant manager, to the shop having a restaurant manager, 2 assistant managers, a shift manager, a skills trainer, and then the rest of the teams. It just keeps, so basically you expand it to be able to cope with the spread, okay, of your business. Okay. So we have 2 heads of operations, for instance. Now, any other market, the UK would have 1 head of operations. We have 2 because we're in Nigeria. Okay?
Why? What does one attend to? What does the other do?
So basically, it's just the number of shops. Okay, so one takes 120 shops up here, and the other one takes the other 100 and something shops down there, and that's
So
their
it's like
responsibility.
a regional.
It's like a regional, regional focus. Okay, so basically, split the company into the country into 2, and just say you take here, you take.
Because there was no way one person was attending.
Exactly. And it was that way. But we saw the challenges and the difficulty in that individual trying to cope, and we saw the results speak for themselves. Okay, that making that decision saw better results.
I'd like for you to talk me through the intricacies of motivating employees. So can you tell me, particularly for your principal executives, the people you work with closely, let's say top 20, top 50. How do you keep them on side and grounded? How do you keep them focused with eyes on the ball? What's your playbook like? What's your combination? Are you combining monetary benefits with... Tell me, what's the plan? I want to learn from it.
So it's a bit of both, right? It's your monetary benefits with... I'm trying to... we're basically... empowerment. Okay. Everybody wants to grow. Everybody wants to, especially at senior management level, you want responsibility, right? And you don't just want responsibility. You want to be able to say, I made this decision.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was the reason why this succeeded. And I was the one who did this. We've got people that flew to Turkey, for instance, to go and work with a company that was helping us with our pricing strategy, okay, and can now claim that they know pricing strategy. They could never make that claim before, okay. We've got people that flew to Spain to work with online partners, okay, and come back and take that responsibility. The whole point is that to try and give your team as much exposure as possible. Now, you're not able to do it for everybody, but as much and as possible that we do it. So it's 1, holding people accountable for their KPIs, and 2, rewarding those KPIs as well. One thing about the QSI, look, we all earn Naira. We don't, it's not a dollar business.
You look like you earn Naira and cities.
Amen. Okay. But the key thing, funny enough, I don't hear any of my team asking about bonus. We do give bonus, but it's not discussed until the end of the year. No, I've never at any time.
Have you been able to create an environment where that exists?
We're just busy. Everybody's just eager to get it done. Everybody's just eager to achieve.
What's the secret? How are you able to keep a highly motivated environment? I'm very interested in this because, for example, I have a growing team, and I sit a lot with them, with other entrepreneurs and CEOs, because I'm also a business consultant. And yes, I have methods that I've seen work for me, and I've also consulted for others and taught them similar. But then I want to add your feather to my ranks, to be honest. How are you able to do this? Does it lie in stand-ups? Does it lie in trainings? Does it lie in your leadership style? Does it lie in your hands-on approach? Does it lie in being so involved in the most minute or minuscule part of their lives to let them know that this guy is here?
I think it lies in everything that you've said, in little bits, bite-sized pieces, right? But the most important part that we have what we call an MD communication day. It's like a town hall meeting.
Okay.
Where
how often?
Every quarter.
Oh.
Okay. So we have 2 sessions. One for the guys in Lagos is physical. Okay, where I go and stand up in front of them, tell them this is where the company's at, this is where we're going. I do like a 15-minute presentation. It's a 2-hour meeting. There's a 15-minute presentation, and then the rest of the time is answering questions. Okay. And then I do an online one, same thing, 15-minute presentation, then the rest of the time answering. I think the last one I did, I said, no presentation, throw me your questions, because we've just come through a tough year. Okay.
So we'll come to that.
So it was interesting to make sure that people's salaries were not longer taking them as far as they used to. The business wasn't growing as quickly or hitting the targets that we achieved. We were all under pressure. So everybody was wondering, okay, what are we going to do next? And they're looking to you to give that guideline. But what I do is that I look to them and say, hey, we're going to sort this out together. Okay. What do you think we should do? You understand? Because you get more buy-in from people when the idea comes from them.
And they feel involved in the decision making.
Okay. And that's the key part. Okay. I think every single day, if I'm in the office, I take a walk around the whole business. There's not a single day where I'm in the office I haven't gone to the finance department, the marketing department, the pie production, the central kitchen, anywhere into the HR office. I walk around the whole business and I greet people. Okay, whether it's the cleaner, whether it's hi, how are you? It's not just hello, sir, hello. No, it's hello, how are you? How's it going? You have to make that time. You're not the one frying the chicken. You're not the one cooking the rice. So what else are you doing? You're thinking strategically, but you've got to make the strategic management of your people are part and key of the success of the business.
I think that's so profound. I think it's so profound. A bit of a spin-off this particular conversation where you talked about more or less feeling the pain of the people you're working with. I want to talk about macroeconomic challenges and your adaptive strategies and what you've been able to put in place. So, for example, I recently found out that you guys came up with something called 500 Naira Refuel meals. I think it was 2016, thereabouts, right?
Yeah.
At the turn of the fuel crisis.
Yeah.
First and foremost, that's some genius stuff coming up with that. And that was the darling of Nigerian heart. Oh, hi. I'd like to take a very quick break to tell you about something that has been a major game changer for not just myself, but for several other business owners as well. You know, for a while, I was actually struggling with managing finances, tracking expenditure, and curbing theft in my businesses. And all of my efforts actually proved futile until I was introduced to Budgetti. Budgetti is a financial management platform built for African businesses. And with it, you get to issue things like virtual corporate cards to your team, set spending limits, track every transaction in real time, and even get to approve requests instantly, all from your phone. Look, if you run a business, either big or small, all you have to do is check out Budgetti today at www.budgetti.com. Trust me, it will change the way you manage your business's finances. I'll do good to remind you at the end of this episode. Anyways, let's get back to the video. It became the symbol, the apotheosis of affordability for anything tummy, Nigeria-wide.
Yeah.
I remember traveling to some other states. I just know as long as I choose Chicken Republic, I won't go hungry. On one hand, from the consumer standpoint, from our standpoint, it was good stuff. But I knew that before you guys came across that solution, it was going to hurt a lot.
Yeah.
And also, you had to be extra careful to ensure, in Yoruba we say, kope. It means to make sure that no matter all this Father Christmas I'm doing, the money must be complete. The margin for error is so slim. I want you to answer the reasoning behind that, the 500 Naira Reform Max. Then also, after that, I'd like you to talk to me about the macroeconomic challenges, the Nigerian market. Some things are beyond your control.
Of course. Yeah.
Give me examples and tell me how you've been able to time in, time out, ensure that Chicken Republic remains in business no matter what.
Yeah, okay. So first of all, the refuel meal, I wish I could take credit for it.
You wish it was that good.
It was good.
So
It
good.
was the former CEOs.
Wow.
And I remember when he came in and
You were
to
what?
one of our
What then? What were
meetings,
you then?
I was a divisional managing director of business development.
Oh, good.
Okay. So when he came in and he just sat down in one of our meetings, our ManCom meetings or ESCO meetings, and he said, why don't we just do one chicken and rice for 500 Naira? I said, yes. I just put my hands. I said, yes, let's do it. And the reason why I was quick to answer was because, funny enough, in Ghana, something had happened that I'd learned from. In Ghana, we had a brand called Baker's Inn, which was part of the school. Now we were selling the bread for 5 Ghana cedis, and it was flying. We were doing 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 loaves a day. Okay. We just changed it from 5 Ghana cedis to 6 cedis, and it dropped to about 3,000 loaves a day.
Ooh.
Okay. So that 5 Ghana cedis was the price point.
Ooh.
We all knew that 500 Naira was the price point. And the point is how to make it happen at 500 Naira. Okay. So, and don't forget, we'd gone through, like a lot of businesses during that time, Nigeria was going through a tough time. Okay. We say we were in a recession, even though government said that we were not in a recession. As far as we were concerned, what had happened was that we realized that, look, we had priced ourselves at a point where we were only attracting a certain clientele. And there was all this aspirational market that was there that wanted to eat at Chicken Republic, but saw Chicken Republic as out of their pocket doing. And we said, no, this is ridiculous. It doesn't make sense for a business. One, you've got the people that can afford it that are not coming in, okay? And the people that can't afford it and want to come in, you don't have anything for them, okay? So the refuel obviously came from the fuel crisis that was going. We just called the refuel meal 500 Naira, one piece of chicken and rice.
That was a game changer.
And that was like a 50% discount to one of our meals. Now, the beauty of it is that the reason why it became so popular was for how long it stayed. So we kept the price for, I think it's up to 2021. Just as after COVID, the prices started going crazy.
How did you keep it for 6 years?
Because it became a volume game.
Oh.
Right? Okay. So it was no longer. So think of it this way. All right. People are coming in and buying your refill because of the price point. Because people are coming and buying your refill, all you're doing is cooking and cooking and cooking. So all you're doing is churning out a fresh product, a fresh product, a fresh product. So quality is here. Okay. Price point is here. Volume is here. Okay. And that's how it just kept on churning out. So you had shops that we had planned on shutting down, all of a sudden became profitable.
How did you avoid the temptation of dropping quality to sustain the price?
We didn't. What we did was manage the product. So before we did it across all our rice ranges. Then we said, okay, this other rice was becoming too expensive and we were losing a lot of margin on that. So then we restricted it to jollof rice and fried rice only. Fair. Okay. And we said that, look, there are customers that do want it with, let's say, rice and beans. Let's add an extra 200 Naira and you can have it with your rice and beans. You understand? But for everybody else that just wanted to buy 500 Naira, it was more than available to you. So we had to play some strategic games with our pricing, with our menu mixes and so on. And then we created Refuel Max. Now, Refuel Max came with one piece of chicken, rice, and a coleslaw.
Or coleslaw.
Exactly. Or a
small drink. And a small drink.
And that's when Coke came out with their 35 CL drink.
It coincided
with it perfectly.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
That was my go-to.
Yeah.
Oh,
so that became that meal for 900 Naira.
900. You brought memories back.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have. Oh God, now I'm hungry. Wow.
So we've done that. But now, if you're talking about the macros obviously last year was turbulent for a lot of people. I think, with the way prices were going, we'd never taken so many price increases in our lives, in the history of the company.
How many times do you have to review prices?
I must have reviewed prices about 8 times.
No way.
Yeah. Chicken prices were just jumping. Chicken prices went up 100%. Okay. So it was so funny when you were hearing the stats that food inflation was 39% when we're busy dealing with a 70, 75, 80, sometimes 100% inflation rate on some of our prices. You understand? And unfortunately, we had to pass that on to the customer. We took salary increases because our team was suffering. We had to break it up for them. We couldn't do one lump sum. So it's okay. Let's give you some now. Just work a bit. Let's try the business and we'll give you another and then work a bit. And then even this year, we did another increase in salaries as well, because we do understand what's going on in the market. And, contrary to what staff may think, it's not that we don't know. It's just, how do you keep the business going? And then you can't do salaries and bankrupt the business, or not do salaries at all and keep the business going. Your business won't survive.
Whew. When the prices went up, typically, reduced volume.
Right. Painfully.
Yeah. Are there some strategies that you probably had to employ to maybe, I don't know how to put it, maybe mitigate? So, for example, I know your roastery chicken.
Yeah.
That's the one I like, right? I like your spag. I think it's the sauce. The sauce is like the best.
Sauce, yeah.
Oh my God. I remember the roastery chicken. I used to have it with the spag. I think I had gone a particular day. I knew the price. The next thing, the price had gone up. Next thing, the price had gone up. At some point, I'm like, okay, what's the difference now between this and maybe eating? And so, to a given extent, I mean, I'm even speaking from a privileged standpoint because I can still afford it.
Right.
But the average Nigerian can't.
Exactly.
How were you able to marry having to do what needed to be done to keep the business afloat, and also ensuring that people don't lose the affordability of their darling Chicken Republic?
So,
what do you do?
Think of it this way. When we're doing the 500 Naira meal, the dollar was 250 Naira to the dollar, right? Which means that 500 Naira was $2. Okay? Good. Now you're doing the 500 Naira meal, okay, at that time, let's say last year at 1,500, which is now $1. Okay. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It doesn't, the numbers just do not jive. So you've understood that salaries were not going up. People's income was not going up as fast as inflation. Food inflation was rising. Okay, but to stay in business, you couldn't continue. So it comes to a point where the margins just basically are eroded away, and you have to push price.
You have to make tough decisions.
Exactly, you have to make tough decisions. But what happened now is that all your competition's woken up to affordability.
True.
Okay.
True.
So now
there's a lot of copying.
I'm
not going to say.
Let's not copy. Let's say there's a lot of adaptation. There's a lot of initiative. Okay.
I want to imagine what goes on in your board meetings sometimes.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to mention names because I probably have one or two affiliations with some of your competitors, right? But there's one of your principal competitors who I saw about 2022-23, circa 22-23, thereabout, comes up with their own package. And I'm like, you guys acting like Chicken Republic now? It's almost as though the market has had to adjust, and many of them take a leaf from your book.
Well, we don't know about that. I'm not going to claim that.
Trying to be humble.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to, because look, I always tell people, keep an eye on the competition, but don't worry about what they're doing because they've all got different models. Okay, you've got one model where they've got an array of food on display. Okay, then you've got the other models that like the international brands that have their systems as well. So you have to find what works for your customers and for your business. But look, I mean, the macros were the challenge. With food inflation, with the utility costs was crazy.
Facility costs were probably rising in some of the places.
So your diesel, electricity, and then we got onto the banding, which wasn't really the banding, and so on. So it took its toll. It took its toll.
Kofi, because of our time.
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions I want to ask, so I'm having to sieve to see which one should stay and which one shouldn't. And so I want to ask a question. I think for me, perhaps one of the most important questions I'm going to be asking you today is this. I was speaking somewhere recently and I said, look, guys, how is it that when you walk into a Chicken Republic store at the Yanokbaja and you walk into a Chicken Republic store, say in Abuja, the taste in Yanokbaja and the taste in Abuja are pretty much the same? If I picked any of your random branches, it's pretty much the same. I know these things are obtainable, obviously, in some other clients.
Yeah.
That's how it's done McDonald's, that's how it is in Nando's and many more. But I want to drive it home to the Nigerian context now. And in fact, in any context, it's brilliant. It is brilliant. How are you able to achieve that given level of consistency across 300 plus locations? How come your rice and your spag taste the same pretty much everywhere?
So we keep our menu simple. So if you walk into a Chicken Republic, you're not going to get about 10 different types of rice and so on. We try to keep it as simple as possible. Two, the menu is kept simple. So what you do inside the QSR, especially when you get to our size, and even when you're even half our size or quarter of our size, you have what you'd call a commissary or central kitchen. Okay. So what we do is that the sauce that is used to cook jollof is done centrally. Okay. To get consistency, you have to take control of your destiny, so to speak. Okay. So we try, and that's for Lagos.
So the sauce that's done centrally caters to how many branches? All the branches in the States?
Lagos and Ibadan stores for now.
No way.
Yeah. All Lagos and Ibadan stores for now. Now, up north, there's a whole process, a whole documented process. So it's like getting a recipe book. Okay. When somebody's telling you, okay, now add 2 cups of this. And so it's providing the tools, the technology, a scale. We have a digital scale. We have the right equipment. We have equipment with that the timers and temperatures are set and password. So you cannot change it. Okay. So as soon as you press that button, that's exactly what.
So no chef can get creative.
No chef can get creative. Not inside chicken. The creativity is done at the central kitchen. It's done at the head office. That's with our new product development team.
Wow. Yeah. Now that must be the reason the chickpeas taste the same everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the chicken the chicken is primarily the chicken, right?
Yeah.
So you get vegetables that are supplied in Kanu from farmers that grows in Port Harcourt from farmers that supply your lettuce and tomatoes are not coming from exactly the same place. The only thing you can control is the spices, which is done centrally and delivered across the whole country. Okay. And so you see your supply chain.
How do you ensure supply chain synergy? Talk me through how it has been over the years. And also, have there been temptations for vertical integration where your Chicken Republic, you've been ordering chicken in droves in millions and you're like, well, leave a lot of money on the table. We're giving these guys a lot of money. Have you started your own poultries? How do you supply? Because you guys use perhaps the most chicken for any brand in the whole of Africa, if I'm not mistaken. And so walk me through that.
So firstly is with other vendors is getting the right partnership. Okay. We have a quality control department, a quality assurance, and we've got a head of quality assurance and so on. And any vendor that we choose, especially for raw materials, they go and inspect their facilities. They must meet a specific criteria before they start supplying us. We did own a poultry farm at one point. We let it go.
Oh.
And the reason why we let it go, because it wasn't our area of expertise. Our area was cooking the chicken, not growing the chicken. It's actually a very, very tough business. So we let that go. And one thing I've always told people is focus, because focus allowed us to start growing and getting to the 200 plus Chicken Republics and the 100 plus Pie Expresses, etc. It's focus, because now we were not distracted by a chicken farm. We were not distracted by a bakery. Those were not our areas of expertise. Okay. The team that we had on ground, their area of expertise was QSR. And that's what you needed to keep them focused on. Once we did that, then you started seeing the growth.
That's interesting. Speaking on growth, right? You've talked about the fact that Chicken Republic has grown. Chicken Republic itself has about 200 plus branches, while Pie Express has about 100 more. And some of your growth has been attributed to great franchise relationships, franchisee relationship. I think I once heard you say that franchising itself is like a marriage that has its ups and downs.
Yeah.
Right? What made you say that?
Well, look, it's franchising in any part of the world is about relationship.
Okay.
I always say franchising like a marriage. You're going to have your ups and downs. Is the best thing is to talk it through and have communication. You understand? So, and you're in for a long term, right? I mean, you've got franchisees that are going to be we've got franchisees that have been with us for 18 years, 19 years. You understand? So they're not going anywhere. This is their business. They put their life into it. I've got a franchisee in Nando State that has 17 outlets.
Ooh.
One franchisee.
17 within Nando?
With Ondo and Ekiti. Okay, but majority of them are in Nando. Okay, so you think about someone like that. That is a relationship you're building.
Because they help you cover ground.
They help you cover ground. You're helping them grow the business. You need to be able to, you have to support each other, right? So that's where basically for franchising is very, very key for us in that we're able to support. Now, at times when, as I say, when you're having trouble with franchising, you always say, do you support them or do you discipline them first? Okay. So what comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
Okay. And we found out that, look, when you support and people see value in the support you give, they then tend to trust you. So one of the key things I did when I took over as divisional manager director for business development and franchise came under me was how do I support my franchisees? Okay. Once I started supporting them, they started believing me. Once they started believing in me, they started following the standards and the process and would not deter. So the job that we were talking before was one franchisee that introduced pepper soup into his...
it will never not be funny.
Exactly. Okay. Now,
man was just trying to cope, man.
And
macroeconomic challenges, live and let him be.
Exactly. So what you find is that franchisees are entrepreneurs. This person has most probably put their life savings into this business and is not churning over as much as it should. Okay. And they're seeing competition being busy. And he's assuming the pepper soup is making that competitor busy. So I took him out to lunch and I said, look, let's go and eat at this competition that you love so much. And we went there and I showed him that, look, what is flying out of that display cabinet is the jollof rice. It's not the pepper soup, sorry. Okay. So if I were you, I'd focus on making sure that your jollof rice was 100%. So customers come to you instead of them. That franchisee moved from doing 11 million to doing 57 million a month.
Whoa.
Okay. Obviously over a period of time. But that's the key thing about following the standards. But don't forget, we also learn from franchisees. Remember, they're entrepreneurs. They come up with ideas. They're always thinking of solutions for their business and to make money. So we just recently, a couple of months ago, just had our third franchise forum. Okay, where we invite all our franchisees down. We let them know what's going on in the business. They let us know the challenges and some new things, and they talk to each other. And they say, "Oh, what's happening? I got my rice, and there's all stones inside the rice. Oh, have you tried this brand?
Wow.
Talk to Food Concept. They'll allow you to use this brand. That one is approved. And before you know, they're running together and talking with each other and helping each other out. And we find franchise stores where we'll say, okay, the franchise store is struggling, he's not doing well. And he'll say that, if I want to shut this business, I said, okay, hold on. Let's do it this way. Give us the shop for 3 months. Let's understand. And we've got shops that we're doing 400,000 a day in sales. Are now doing 1.5, 1.8 million Naira a day in sales. You understand? And we said that, look, guy, it wasn't the location. Because we have almost a scientific way of identifying the right location. So it wasn't the location. It was your people. We had to train the people, retrain the people, get rid of, unfortunately, the bad ones and bring in new ones and make sure that they're delivering and incentivize them.
And it's going to lead me to, I want to see how much I can throw in 3 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes. as I bring this to a close, you talked about retraining the people and all. One of the things that the quick service restaurant space is synonymous with is high staff turnover. They come and they leave.
Yes.
Particularly the guys who are the cashiers, the guys who wait the tables. Many of them is short-term jobs. Sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. How do you ensure consistency and continuity in an ever-changing personnel management space? What are your strategies? Because I think the world's percentage is about industry percentage 70, 75.
Anywhere between 50 to 70, depending on the brand.
What's yours? Correct.
Ours is about 50, I think. Yeah. So for us, and once again, this is a part of having a great team. Our HR guys do a great job with our operations team as well, and there's a poster inside our shops showing our staff a potential career path within our industry. Okay, and what you've got is, because we've developed so many people from within. My current head of operations for Pie Express, for instance, is somebody that used to be an assistant manager in the shop. And now she's responsible for 100 Pie Expresses. Okay. One of my regional manager used to be a cashier. She's now regional manager responsible for 30 outlets. Okay. And she's grown through the ranks. And that's the development plan that we love to do.
So you've given them a pathway to ensure that their personal aspirations can find expression within the company.
So we have a training room which we call the hatchery. Okay.
It must be busy.
We try to keep it as busy as possible.
How many employees do you have at the moment?
Right now we're close to 6,000.
No way.
Yeah.
That makes Chicken Republic one of the biggest employers of labor. Yeah.
We're close to 6,000.
In Nigeria. That's incredible.
Yeah. We keep busy. Okay. So that training school, the guys try and keep it as busy as much as possible. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kofi. Final words.
Yeah.
What's next for Chicken Republic?
What's next for Chicken Republic is international. We've, the beauty of seeing all these great international brands come into this market, and the beauty of what our Afrobeat and our musicians have done out in the global market is saying that, look, there's much more that Nigeria can take out to the world than just music. Okay. Our music, our fashion, everything is done a great job. Nigeria's on a high in the global market at the moment. So it's time for, I've seen so many Nigerian restaurants in places like the UK and America and so on, but there's no QSR. Okay, that is growing rapidly.
Yeah.
Okay, in those markets. So that's going to be the next thing.
So you're looking under your leadership to take the international space by storm. I look forward to it.
Yeah.
I look forward to one day being in Ahmad Airport, somewhere Doha, and then I see a
Chicken Republic.
And I look forward to being in Helsinki.
Yeah.
And then seeing all of that. But anyways, I look forward to it, and I'm personally convinced. I mean, you happen to be one of the brightest minds I think I've been in conversation with over the past couple of months. And I do not think there's anyone better equipped, at least mentally and with proper leadership, to do this. And so I'm rooting for you, Kofi. And just one for the road. I think my audience would like me to ask, of the whole CEO thing, what's Kofi like behind the scenes? Do you watch football? What do you do to cool off? Spend time with family? What do you do? Because running the show must be quite cumbersome. So
time consuming.
So how do you find out time to just recharge and do stuff?
Look, I'm like everybody else. I find time to watch football, spend time with family. I'm an Arsenal supporter.
Oh God.
I'm an Arsenal supporter.
Second Arsenal supporter I've interviewed in the last week.
Don't worry.
I'm so worried. Such an excellent man.
I was going to say I'm sorry, but I actually nothing to sorry about.
Such an excellent man. You're making terrible choices in your football club.
Which team do you support?
At least
Man United.
Before I tell you,
I've seen the video. When your living room is screaming and shouting, I've seen it.
Well, at least I'm not like you who hasn't been able to lift the Premier League title in 21 years.
It's okay. Where are you now? Where are you in the position?
Let's not talk about it. The camera, make sure you take this part off. But anyways, Asta is an upper charger. So kudos to you on that.
Thank you.
Kudos. Thank you so much, Kofi.
Thank you very much.
It's such an honor and I'm so excited. What a conversation. I look forward to having you again in other seasons. Thank you so much, Kofi. And by then, I'm sure you would have obviously broken through the full international market and large.
Amen to that.
Rooting for you, Kofi.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Take care.
What a conversation. That left me at the edge of my seat. It was genuinely one of the most fascinating conversations I've ever had. And if it was for you, do not forget to kindly click on the subscribe button or follow and also turn on post notification to ensure you're the very first person to see where next we drop an amazing video. And also do not forget to like this video to ensure that the algorithm pushes it to way more people. And also, one more thing, share this video with at least 3 friends of yours that you are sure will appreciate all the gems that have been poured out today. And I also want to give a huge shout out to our media partners, EcoBank Business and Propeller Media. I'm Olushola, I've always been, and I'm going to see you in the very next video.